The morning was cold. The sky was gray. Wind moved through the trees, making a soft whistling sound. A small boy walked slowly on the road, holding his bag tightly. His name was Rahil. His shoes were torn. His bag was old. But what caught everyone's eyes was his jacket. Brown, rough, patched in many places. It looked like it had been worn for years. Too many years. It was the first day of school. Rahil stood at the school gate. Many students walked past him, talking and laughing. Some looked at him and then at his jacket. Their eyes were full of judgment. He walked in quietly. He did not speak to anyone. He looked down as he walked. In the classroom, students were already sitting. The teacher had not come yet. When Rahil entered, the room became silent. Then someone laughed. "Hey, look at that jacket!" a boy shouted. Rahil stopped. His eyes didn't meet anyone's. Another boy said, "Did you get that from a trash can?" Everyone laughed. Rahil quietly walked to the last bench and sat down. He didn't say a word. His hands touched the jacket slowly. His fingers moved over the cloth like he was remembering something. He didn't look angry. He didn't look sad either. Just calm, almost like he was hiding something. A girl named Sana watched him from the front row. She didn't laugh. She just looked at his face. Something about him felt different. Just then the door opened. The class went silent. The principal himself walked in with the class teacher. This was not normal. The principal was a serious man. He rarely came to classrooms. "Class," he said, "we have a new student today. His name is Rahil. I hope you welcome him kindly." Everyone stayed quiet. The principal looked around. Then his eyes stopped. He stared at Rahil. More specifically, he stared at the jacket. His expression changed. His eyes became wide. He took a step forward, then stopped. The teacher looked confused. "Sir?" she asked. The principal said nothing for a moment. Then he looked away and said, "Yes, yes, carry on." And he left the room quickly. Students looked at each other. What just happened? Rahil didn't move. The teacher began the lesson, but Sana couldn't stop thinking. Why did the principal act so strange? It was just a jacket, right? Or was it lunchtime? Rahil sat alone in the corner of the schoolyard near a tree. He opened a small lunchbox. There was just one chapati and a little pickle, but he didn't look sad. He ate slowly, calmly. Two boys came near. One of them was Armin, the boy who laughed the loudest in class. "Hey, jacket boy," Armin said. "Why don't you throw that thing away? It smells like history." Rahil didn't reply. You poor or just crazy?" the other boy joked. Still, Rahil said nothing. Then Armin stepped closer and tried to grab the jacket. Before he could touch it, Rahil stood up. His eyes met Armin's for the first time. They were sharp, not scared, not angry, just steady, like a soldier's eyes. "Don't touch it," Rahil said. His voice was soft, but firm. Armin stepped back. Suddenly, someone called from behind, "Rahil, the principal wants to see you." Rahil picked up his bag and walked toward the office, inside the principal's office. The principal stood near the window. He didn't turn around. "Do you know what that jacket is?" he asked quietly. Rahil stayed silent. The principal turned. He looked at Rahil with serious eyes. "This school, this town, they're not ready to know. Not yet. That jacket has a story, a big one, and not everyone will understand it." Rahil spoke softly. "It belonged to my father." The principal nodded. "Yes, I know. I knew him." Rahil's eyes moved. "You knew my father?" The principal walked closer. "Yes, and if that jacket is here, then something big may be coming. Listen to me carefully, Rahil. Don't take that jacket off, but don't talk about it either. Not now." Rahil asked, "Why?" The principal replied, because some people still remember him, and not all of them are friends. Evening. Rahil walked home. His house was small, just 2 rooms and a broken gate. His mother opened the door. Her eyes looked tired but warm. "How was school?" she asked. "Okay," Rahil replied. She saw his face and smiled. "Did someone laugh at the jacket again?" He nodded slowly. She placed a hand on his head. "Let them laugh. One day, they'll know." Rahil went to his room. He took off the jacket carefully and placed it on a wooden chair. Then he stared at it. The cloth was old, but strong. There were medals stitched inside, hidden. One corner had a small patch that looked different from the rest. Rahil touched it. His fingers felt a line, a stitch that was thicker than the others. He slowly opened that part. Inside, there was a small folded paper. He opened it. It said, "If you're reading this, they've found you. Be careful. Protect the jacket. It holds the truth." Rahil's eyes widened. Who wrote this? Was it his father? What did truth mean? Outside, a black car passed by slowly. Rahil didn't notice it. But someone inside the car was watching. The sky was dark. Clouds were heavy. Rain was about to fall. Rahil sat on his bed, still holding the small note he found inside the jacket. "If you're reading this, they've found you. Be careful. Protect the jacket. It holds the truth." He read the words again and again. Who wrote this? What truth? And who were they? He looked at the jacket hanging on the back of his chair. It looked so quiet, so old. But now it felt like something more, something dangerous. Next morning, Rahil wore the jacket again. He touched the inside pocket where the note was hidden. His fingers pressed it softly. Then he walked to school. He reached early. The school grounds were empty. Suddenly, a voice came from behind. "Rahil!" It was the principal. He looked around, then said quietly, "Come with me." Rahil followed him to his office. The principal closed the door and pulled the curtains. Then, he turned and stared at the jacket. "You opened it, didn't you?" he asked. Rahil didn't lie. He nodded slowly. The principal sighed and sat down. "That jacket is not just cloth," he said. "It's a key, a door to a past that many people want to keep closed." Rahil asked, "What do you mean?" The principal leaned forward. "Your father was not just a soldier. He was part of something secret, something big. That jacket was his last mission. It has things inside it, codes, clues, maybe more." "Why didn't anyone tell me this before?" Rahil asked. The principal looked sad. "Because it's not safe. People are still looking for your father, and if they know the jacket is with you, they will come. They won't care that you are just a boy." Rahil's voice became quiet. "But I want to know. I want to know who my father really was." The principal stood up and looked out the window. "Then be careful, Rahil. Wear the jacket. But say nothing. Not yet. Trust no one, not even your classmates. Wait for the right time. Until then, don't let anyone take it from you." He turned and looked at Rahil. "Do you understand?" Rahil nodded. The principal smiled softly. "Good. Now go. And remember, be alert." Later that day, in class, students were busy writing. But Armin kept looking at Rahil. He whispered to his friend, "He's acting strange lately, like he's hiding something." His friend said, "It's just the jacket. He's poor. That's all." "No," Armin replied. "There's something weird about him. Even the principal is acting strange around him." Sana heard them whispering. She didn't say anything, but she kept her eyes on Rahil. He looked calm, but there was something in his face, a hidden worry. During lunch, she sat near him under the tree. "You're quiet," she said. "I'm always quiet," Rahil replied. She smiled. "People are saying strange things about you." He didn't respond. She asked, "Is it true? Did the principal really call you alone yesterday?" Rahil looked at her. For a second he wanted to tell her, but he remembered the principal's words. Trust no one. So he said, "I had some questions about the timetable." Sana didn't believe it, but she didn't push more. She stood up and left. After school, Rahil walked home as the sky turned orange. The road was quiet, but as he turned into a narrow lane near his house, he felt something. Someone was following him. He looked back. No one. He walked faster. His heart beat louder. Suddenly, a man stepped out from the side alley. He wore black clothes and dark sunglasses. His face was cold. "Hello." "Rahil," the man said. Rahil froze. "Who are you?" The man smiled, but it was not friendly. "I'm just someone who cares about jackets," he said. "Especially old ones." Rahil stepped back slowly. "Don't be scared," the man said. "I just want to talk." "I don't want to talk," Rahil said. "Too bad," the man replied, "because I have a message for you." He took off his glove and showed his hand. There was a ring. On the ring was a symbol, a black eagle with sharp wings. Rahil felt a chill. The same symbol was on the note inside the jacket. The man leaned closer. "Listen carefully. Take off that jacket, lock it in a box, and forget it ever existed." "Why?" Rahil asked. The man's face became serious. "Because that jacket brings danger, and danger doesn't care how old you are." He turned to leave. "Next time, I won't just talk." Then he disappeared into the shadows. At home, Rahil ran inside. His mother saw his face and got worried. "What happened?" she asked. "A man followed me," Rahil said. "He showed me a ring. It had a symbol, a black eagle. He said I should stop wearing the jacket." His mother sat down slowly. She looked scared. Then she said, "Your father told me this day would come." Rahil sat beside her. She opened a drawer and took out an old wooden box. Inside was a photo, a soldier holding a gun wearing the same jacket, Rahil's father. There was also a medal, dusty but shining. "Your father was a hero," she said. "But he made enemies. Not bad men, powerful men. He tried to tell the truth, but the truth made some people afraid." Night was quiet. The street lights outside Rahil's window flickered. He could not sleep. His eyes were on the jacket. It lay on the table beside him, folded neatly. The old brown cloth looked soft in the low light, but Rahil knew now it was not just cloth. It was his father's jacket. It was his father's story. And maybe it was now his story, too. He stood up and touched the fabric. His fingers moved over the stitches. He closed his eyes and remembered the photo his mother showed him. His father, standing tall, wearing this same jacket, a brave look on his face. Rahil whispered, "Who were you, Baba? What did you hide inside this?" Then his hand felt something, hard near the collar. It was small, hidden under the lining. He slowly pulled the cloth and found a tiny silver medal, shaped like a star. He turned it around. On the back, it had a number, S-142. Mission Dustwind. Rahil's heart beat faster. What was Mission Dustwind? Next morning, Rahil showed the medal to his mother. Her face changed when she saw the words. She sat down quietly. Her hands shook. "I never wanted you to see this," she said. "Why, Amma?" Rahil asked softly. "Because it brings pain," she replied. "Your father's mission was secret. Only a few people in the army knew about it. Even I didn't know everything." She looked out the window. Her voice was low and full of memory. "He left one night. He said, 'If I don't return, tell Rahil I wore the jacket with pride.' I asked him where he was going. He said, 'To protect people, to stop something terrible.'" "What was it?" Rahil asked. "I don't know," she said. "But after that mission, he never came back. And then People came to our door. They searched our home. They said he ran away. They said he was a traitor. Her voice broke. But I never believed them. Rahil touched the jacket again. He was not a traitor, Rahil said. He was a hero. She nodded. Yes, and now the truth lives in that jacket. Later at school, Rahil sat quietly. He didn't care about the whispers anymore. The jokes, the laughs. Armand passed a comment again. Hey, jacket boy, still wearing that dead man's cloth? Rahil looked up. His eyes were calm but firm. One day, you'll know why I wear it, he said. The class became silent. Even Armand didn't know what to say. That afternoon, a school trip was planned. The class was going to the military museum in the city. Buses arrived. Students were excited. They ran to the seats, laughing and shouting. Rahil sat near the window, his bag in his lap. His jacket was zipped up, and the medal was hidden inside. The bus moved. Roads passed. Trees flew by. But Rahil's mind was full of questions. What was Mission Dustwind? Why was it so secret? Why were people still watching him? He pressed the medal inside his jacket. It felt warm. At the museum, the building was large and gray. Soldiers in uniform stood near the gates. Inside, there were rooms full of weapons, medals, photos of war heroes, and old army clothes. Students walked around in groups, making jokes, taking pictures. Rahil moved alone. He reached a small room full of jackets, army jackets from different wars. He looked at them closely, but none of them looked like his father's. Then he saw something. In a frame on the wall, there was a black and white photo, a group of soldiers, and in the center was a man wearing the same jacket as his. Rahil moved closer. The nameplate said, Classified Unit, Mission Dustwind, 2008. Rahil's eyes widened. It was the same mission, the same jacket, and the same man, his father. Suddenly, a hand touched his shoulder. He turned. It was an old man, tall, broad shoulders, white mustache, his chest full of medals. He wore a general's uniform. The general looked at the jacket Rahil was wearing. He became still. Then, slowly, he raised his hand to his forehead and saluted. The room became quiet. A few teachers saw this and stopped, walking. The general lowered his hand. He looked into Rahil's eyes. Where did you get that jacket? He asked, his voice deep. Rahil said, It was my father's. The general nodded slowly. What is your name, son? Rahil. The general looked shocked. Rahil. Khan? Yes. The general stepped back. His eyes were full of emotion. I knew your father. He saved my life. Everyone gathered around. The teacher asked, Sir, what's happening? The general turned and said loudly, This jacket belonged to one of the finest soldiers I ever met, Captain Zain Khan. There was silence, then whispers, then wide eyes. Armand stared in shock. Sana looked proud. The teacher asked, But wasn't he a traitor? The general's voice became sharp. That's a lie. He was a hero. He gave everything to protect this country. He vanished after a mission, but not because he was guilty. He was silenced. He turned to Rahil. You wearing this jacket? It means the story is not over. Rahil's voice was soft. Do you know what Mission Dustwind was? The general nodded. Yes, but that's a story for another day. A dangerous one. He placed his hand on Rahil's shoulder. Be careful. That jacket carries truth, but truth can be heavy. That evening, as the class returned in the bus, no one laughed. No, one joked. They all looked at Rahil differently. Armand sat quietly. Sana smiled at Rahil and said, Your father was a legend. Rahil didn't reply. He just held the jacket tightly, because deep inside, he knew this was just the beginning. Night fell again. But this night felt different for Rahil. He lay on his bed, holding the silver medal and staring at the ceiling. His mind was full of questions, voices, and faces. His father, the principal, the man in black, and now, the general. The general's salute still echoed in his heart. Your father was a hero. That jacket carries truth, but truth can be heavy. What truth? What was Mission Dustwind? He stood up and placed the medal on the table. Then, carefully, he began checking the jacket again. Every stitch, every pocket, every thread. Suddenly, he felt something hard near the left sleeve. It was very small and hidden, deep inside. He carefully used scissors to cut a small thread. His fingers pulled out a tiny paper, folded tightly like a square. He opened it. There were symbols and numbers like a secret code. Code: Dust 02, Wind Alpha. 14R, 31L, Blue Eagle, 4217. Rahil stared at it. What is this? He whispered. He took out his school notebook and copied everything. The words made no sense. But maybe someone could help. Next morning. At school, Rahil didn't tell anyone, but during the lunch break, he asked the principal quietly, "Can I talk to you alone?" Inside the office, Rahil placed the paper on the desk. "I found this inside the jacket," he said. The principal picked it up. He wore his glasses and read it carefully. Then he looked at Rahil. "This is not just a code," he said. "This is a map." "A map?" Rahil asked. "Yes," the principal replied. "Each number, each word, it connects to something. The military used secret codes like this during deep missions. Blue Eagle is not just a name, it's a location." "Where?" Rahil asked. The principal stood up and closed the door. Then, he pulled out a small locked box from his drawer. Inside was an old army map. He opened it and pointed. "There," he said. "Blue Eagle Base. It was shut down years ago. No one goes there anymore." Rahil asked. "Why?" "Because something happened," the principal said. "Something terrible. Your father went there as part of Mission Dustwind. He never returned." Rahil looked at the code again. "Do you think the truth is still there?" The principal looked at him with serious eyes. "If it is, it's waiting for you." That evening, Rahil didn't go home directly. He took a different route. He sat on a quiet bench in the park and thought deeply. His heart beat fast. His fingers played with the jacket's zipper. His mind shouted one word. "Go!" He stood up and walked quickly. He reached home and packed a small bag, flashlight, water, food, and the jacket. Before leaving, he wrote a note for his mother. "I'm going to find the truth. I promise I'll come back. I love you." Then he quietly slipped out the door. Late night, on a lonely road, Rahil stood outside the old gate of Blue Eagle Base. The place looked empty. Faded walls, rusted signs, silence everywhere. But the lock on the gate was broken. He stepped inside. The air was cold. The smell of dust and metal filled his nose. He used his flashlight to look around. Old buildings stood like sleeping giants. Some windows were broken. Some doors creaked in the wind. Rahil followed the code, 14R, 31L. He counted the buildings on the right, then turned left. He reached a large storage shed. The door was half open. He pushed it slowly. Inside, it was dark, but something on the wall caught his eyes. A photo, old, faded, and cracked. It was his father, standing with other soldiers. Behind them was a black board with chalk writing, Mission Dustwind, Phase 2. The vault Rahil moved closer. Under the photo, there was a box, locked. He touched the box. but it triggered a soft beep. Suddenly, a red light blinked. Rahil stepped back. Then he heard a voice from the darkness. "You shouldn't be here." He turned fast. A man stepped out of the shadows. It was the man in black, the same one who followed him before. His face was angry now. "I warned you," he said. "You're just a boy. You don't know what this is about." Rahil stood strong. "I know enough. My father was part of this. I want to finish what he started." The man stepped forward. "You think your father was a hero? He was a problem. He wanted to expose things, secrets that should remain buried." Rahil replied, "Truth is never a problem. Lies are." The man pulled something from his coat, a small device. He placed it on the box. The lock clicked open. He pulled out a black folder from inside. "This is what your father died for," he said. Then he turned to Rahil. "Walk away. Forget this, or you'll disappear just like him." He walked past Rahil and vanished into the night. Rahil stood still. His hands were shaking. The folder was gone. But he noticed something. Inside the box was a small chip. Rahil sat alone in his room. The door was locked. The lights were off. Only the laptop screen glowed in the dark. On the screen, his father's face appeared. It was an old video, maybe recorded years ago. The picture was shaky, and the sound had a soft echo. But the voice, that voice was clear, strong, brave. "If you are watching this, I didn't survive." Rahil's heart stopped for a second. "My name is Captain Zane Khan. I was a soldier of the secret unit for Mission Dustwind. We were told we were protecting the country, but the truth was something else." Rahil leaned forward. His hands were cold. "Our mission was to guard a location called Blue Eagle Base. We were told there were stolen weapons inside, weapons that could destroy cities. But when we reached there, we found people, not weapons. People who were kept like prisoners. Scientists, journalists, soldiers, all silenced because they knew the truth. The truth was, there was no enemy. The real enemy was inside. A few powerful men were creating fake threats. To control fear, to control people, to stay in power. And when I tried to report it, they came after me." Rahil's eyes filled with tears. His father's face on the screen looked tired but full of fire. "They will tell the world I betrayed my country, but no, I loved my country. That's why I had to speak. If my son ever sees this, I want him to know. Never fear the truth, even if it costs everything." The video ended. Rahil sat frozen. His father died not in war, but in silence. Fighting not against a country, but against lies. Suddenly, Rahil heard a noise. Knock, knock, a soft tap on the window. He turned quickly. A small paper was stuck on the glass. He walked over and opened it. The note read, "They know you have the video. Leave the house. Now." Rahil's heart pounded. Who sent this? Was it the man in black again? He quickly grabbed his bag, the jacket, the medal, and the USB chip. He left a note for his mother. "Don't worry, I'll come back soon." Then he slipped out into the night. Outside, the streets were quiet. Rahil didn't know where to go. He walked fast, turning into small lanes. His feet moved, but his mind was full of fear. Suddenly, a car pulled up beside him. It was the general. He opened the door. "Get in." Rahil jumped inside. "How did you find me?" he asked. The general smiled. "Your father was my friend. I've been watching over you ever since you wore the jacket." Rahil gave him the USB. "This has the truth," he said. "My father recorded it." The general looked serious. "I knew something was wrong all those years ago," he said. "But I didn't have proof. Your father tried to give it to me, but he was taken before he could." Rahil asked, "Why didn't you tell the world?" The general looked at him. "Because the world only listens when the right voice speaks." We need to bring this truth to light, the right way. They reached a safe house. It was a small building on the edge of the city. Inside, there was a computer, a radio, and a printer. Maps were on the wall, files on the table. The general placed the USB in the computer. The video played again. He watched, quietly. When it ended, he looked at Rahil. "This is enough to shake the system," he said. "But we must be smart. If we go public, they will try to shut it down." Rahil asked. "So what can we do?" The general replied, "There's a military court hearing tomorrow. I will present this as a witness, but I need you to stand with me." "Me?" Rahil asked, surprised. "Yes," the general said. "You are his blood. You carry the jacket. You carry the story. And the world needs to hear it. From you." Rahil looked at his father's jacket, then nodded. "I'm ready." The next morning, Rahil wore the jacket. It fit him better now, not just on his body, but in his heart. The general drove him to the military court. Inside, cameras flashed. News reporters stood outside the gates. People had started to whisper. The name Zain Khan was back in the air. Inside the courtroom, men in uniforms sat in rows. The judge asked, "What proof do you have?" The general stood up. He played the video. Silence filled the room. Some officers looked shocked. Others looked scared. Then the judge asked, "Who is this boy?" The general turned. "This is Rahil Khan, son of Captain Zain Khan. He found the hidden code. He brought this to us. He is the voice of the truth." Rahil stood up slowly. His legs shook, but his voice was steady. "My father died for the truth. For years we believed he was a traitor. But he was a hero, and I will not let his name stay in the dark." Tears rolled down his mother's cheeks in the corner. The courtroom was silent. Then, the judge stood and said, "Captain Zain Khan's name is cleared. His record will be restored with honor, and an investigation will begin immediately." The courtroom clapped. The truth had finally broken through. Outside, news channels were showing headlines. Zain Khan was innocent. Son uncovers truth. Mission Dustwind. Hidden story of a fallen hero. The boy with the jacket. A son's fight for justice. Rahil stood quietly. The jacket on his shoulders no longer felt old. It felt like armor, but in a dark room somewhere. The man in black stood watching the news. His eyes were angry. He whispered, "The boy has gone too far." He picked up a phone. The truth was finally out. News channels were playing Rahil's video speech again and again. The image of Captain Zain Khan, the honest soldier, was everywhere, on screens, on newspapers, and in people's hearts. Rahil became a symbol of bravery, but with truth came danger. 1 week later, Rahil was sitting in the school library. His eyes were on a history book, but his mind was far away. He missed his father. Even after the world knew the truth, Rahil still felt a hole in his heart. He wanted one more hug, one more word, one more smile. Suddenly, a paper plane landed on his book. He opened it. The message read, "They're watching you. Leave now." His hands shook. He turned to look around, but no one seemed suspicious. He quietly packed his bag and walked out of school. As he crossed the street, he noticed something. A black car parked near the corner. Same model. Same dark windows. Just like the one from before. Rahil's heart beat faster. He took a turn into a small alley. Then another, but the car moved too, slowly, silently, always behind him. They were back. He ran. He ran through the streets, past shops, past homes, past trees, trying to get away from whoever was following him. Suddenly, a motorcycle stopped in front of him. The rider wore a helmet, but the voice was clear. "Get on, now!" It was Arib, the principal's nephew, a young man who once served in the army. Rahil jumped on without a second thought. They zoomed through the city streets, turning sharply, avoiding traffic. The black car tried to follow but couldn't keep. After 20 minutes, they stopped near an old train station. Quiet and empty. They walked into a small building behind the station. Inside, the general was waiting. He stood near a table, maps and files spread before him. "You were right," he said to Rahil. "They're not done yet." Rahil caught his breath. "Who are they?" The general looked serious. "There's a secret group, powerful, hidden. They control things from the shadows. Your father found out, and now they want to erase everything." "Even me?" Rahil asked. "Yes," the general replied. "They failed in court, but now they want to silence you." Arib stepped forward. "We need to move you, hide you, just until we take them down completely." But Rahil shook his head. "No, I won't hide. My father stood up for truth. I will too." The general smiled. "You're your father's son." That night, Rahil, the general, and Arib planned their next move. The chip Rahil found earlier had more than just the video. It had a list of names, people involved in the secret group. Some were powerful businessmen. Others were retired officers. Some were even still working in the government. If this list was made public, everything would change. But there was one problem. The list was locked inside a second chip, a military-grade security system. Only one place could decode it, Base 0. A hidden army research center deep in the mountains. Rahil asked, "How do we get there?" The general replied, "That's the hard part. It's not on any map. And it's guarded." Arib smiled. "Then we'll have to sneak in." Next morning, Rahil, the general, and Arib started their journey. They used an old army jeep and took a quiet route through the forest roads. The air was cold. The trees were tall and silent. Rahil looked outside. His jacket kept him warm, but his mind was racing. What if they were caught? What if the people chasing him found them? But then he remembered his father's words from the video. Never fear the truth. He sat straighter. He was no longer just a boy with an old jacket. He was carrying a mission. After 6 hours, they reached the edge of the mountains. Base 0 was hidden inside a rock cave, surrounded by cliffs and tight security. Arib showed a fake ID and passed the first checkpoint. They parked the jeep and walked into the dark cave entrance. Inside, they reached the main lab. Rahil handed the second chip to the officer in charge, an old friend of the general, Colonel Hashmi. The colonel took the chip and inserted it into a secure machine. The screen lit up. A loading bar moved slowly. 10%. 23%. 47%. Suddenly, the lights blinked. The alarm rang. Beep! 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 Everyone turned. "Unauthorized access," a guard shouted. Rahil felt a chill. "They've found us," Arib said. Guards ran to lock doors. Colonel Hashmi shouted for backup. The general turned to Rahil. "Get the chip. We have to." "Leave! Now!" Rahil grabbed it. They ran through the back exit. Bullets echoed in the background. Shouting filled the hallways. They jumped into the jeep again. But now, a drone flew overhead, and on the road ahead, 2 black cars blocked the way. They were surrounded. The general looked at Rahil. "If they get that chip, everything is lost." Darkness. That's all Rahil felt. His body was heavy. His head was spinning. His eyes refused to open. But somewhere, far away, he heard voices. "We found him." "Is he alive?" "Check for the chip." Rahil's eyes opened a little. The world was blurry. He was lying on the ground in the forest. His arms hurt. His legs were scratched. His jacket was torn. He tried to speak, but no words came out. The men in black stood over him. One of them bent down and searched his pockets. Nothing. The chip wasn't there. "Where is it?" One man shouted, Rahil didn't answer. He couldn't. The man slapped him across the face. "Tell us!" Still silence. Rahil looked into the man's eyes. Even though he was weak, he didn't blink. He didn't break. He would not betray his father's mission. Far away, Arib and the general stood on top of a hill with binoculars. They saw the group in the forest. They saw Rahil lying still. The general clenched his fists. "We have to save him." Arib replied, "We need a plan. There are too many of them." The general nodded. "I'll call someone. Someone who owes me a favor." That night, Rahil was taken to an abandoned farmhouse. The men locked him in a room with no windows. They tied his hands. No food, no water. Just silence. He could barely move. But inside his heart, something kept burning. His father's voice echoed, "Never fear the truth." And he smiled. They would never find the chip because it was buried under the tree, safe inside the metal. He just had to stay strong. Elsewhere, the general was on a secure line, talking to someone powerful. A female voice answered, "It's been a long time, General. I need your help," he said. "It's about Zain Khan's son." The voice went quiet. Then she said, "I'm listening." Her name was Major Layla Aftab, a fearless officer who once trained with Zain Khan. She had retired early but still had friends in secret services. Within hours, she had a small team ready, quiet, fast, trained. Operation Shadowlight was born. Meanwhile, in the farmhouse, Rahil couldn't sleep, but in the silence he suddenly heard a sound. Tap, tap, tap. Someone was knocking, but not on the door, on the floorboards. He listened carefully. Then, one wooden tile lifted up. A hand reached out and waved. It was a boy. "No older than Rahil," he whispered. "Come, quickly." With shaking arms, Rahil crawled forward. The boy untied him and pulled him down into the hidden tunnel. "Who are you?" Rahil asked. The boy replied, "My brother is Arib. He sent me. Now hurry." They crawled for 15 minutes through a tunnel that led under the forest floor. At the end, a small wooden door opened. Arib and Major Layla were waiting. Rahil collapsed. Into their arms. "You came," he whispered. The general stepped forward and held his hand. "We never left." Back at the farmhouse, the men in black realized Rahil was gone. They shouted, they searched, they screamed into their radios. But it was too late. The boy had escaped, and the truth was now out of their hands. At dawn, Rahil stood in the forest again. He limped over to the tree where he buried the metal. His hands shook as he dug through the soft earth, and there it was, the metal, safe, with the chip still inside. Major Layla took the chip and placed it in a secure case. "This," she said, "is the final key." The general nodded. "We send it to every news channel, every army department, every judge, every school, every corner of the country." Arib added, "No more secrets, no more hiding." Rahil looked at the medal in his hand. His father's medal. His voice. His truth. His mission. Now belonged to everyone. Later that day, the chip's contents were broadcasted across the country. It showed names, documents, photos, recordings. Everything the secret group tried to hide was now in the light. People were shocked. Protests broke out. Officers were arrested, and the people said one name again and again. Zain Khan. Rahil stood outside his house. His mother hugged him tightly. Tears ran down her face. "You look like him," she whispered. "You are him." He smiled. "I tried to be brave, Ami, like Baba." That night, Rahil walked to his father's grave. He wore the jacket. Repaired now, clean, proud. He placed the medal on the grave and whispered, "We did it, Baba. The truth is free. You are free." But as he walked back, A shadow stood watching him from behind a tree. It was the leader of the secret group, an old man with cruel eyes. He picked up a phone. "The boy survived again," he said. "But next time, we end this for good." Rahil stood in front of a large school auditorium. Inside, hundreds of students, teachers, and army officers sat waiting. It was a national honor event in memory of Captain Zain Khan. Rahil was the chief guest. He took a deep breath. His jacket felt heavier today, not because of its weight, but because of its history. The same jacket people once laughed at now made them stand in respect. As he stepped on stage, the audience rose. There was silence. Then, clapping. Then, cheering. "Long live Zain Khan! Long live Rahil!" Tears filled his eyes, but before he could speak, the auditorium lights flickered. Something wasn't right. Major Layla, sitting in the front row, stood up. Her eyes scanned the room. Arib spoke into his earpiece. "Check security now." The general, now older and weaker, also stood slowly. "They might try something." Rahil stepped back from the mic. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed in the hall. Smoke filled the air. People screamed. Guards rushed forward. A voice from the speakers came through, cold, sharp, full of hate. "Truth is dangerous, and your truth ends today." It was the leader of the secret group. He had hacked the system. Rahil held the mic tight. "You tried to silence my father. You tried to silence me, but truth doesn't die. It rises, again and again." The crowd went quiet. The leader laughed over the speakers. "You think this is over, boy? I have men outside. I have power. You have nothing." Rahil looked straight ahead. "No, I have the people. And that's stronger than anything you'll ever own." Suddenly, gunshots outside. Arib and Major Layla rushed toward the back exit. The general walked to the stage and stood beside Rahil. His voice was weak but firm. "They might have guns, but we have truth. And today, we finish what Zain Khan started." Outside the hall, 2 black cars arrived. Masked men jumped out ready to attack. But they were not alone. Hundreds of civilians, students, teachers, soldiers, stood in their path, unarmed but unafraid. They surrounded the attackers. The crowd moved forward step by step, and the attackers stepped back. They were outnumbered. They were defeated, not by weapons, but by unity. Inside, the smoke cleared. The security team shut down the hacker system. The screen behind the stage lit up with a photo of Captain Zain Khan, saluting. In his uniform, standing tall, proud, Rahil returned to the mic. "My father died with his honor stolen. But now, that honor is returned. Not just to him, but to every person who ever stood for the truth and was pushed down." He paused. "To those who wear old jackets and still walk with pride. To those who are laughed at, but never give up. This story was never just mine. It was ours." 1 month later, all members of the secret group were arrested. The leader was caught trying to flee the country. Rahil's video speech went viral across the world. People called him the Son of Truth. The president gave him the National Bravery Award. His school renamed the library after his father, Captain Zain Khan Hall of Honor. And his story was added to the school textbooks to teach children the power of truth, courage, and never giving up.